On this episode of Quiet Conversations, I sit down with the amazing Zolani Mahola. From her incredible start with Freshlyground, moving on to The One Who Sings, then Zolani and the Feminine Force, and back to Zolani Mahola, which is now the musical name that she'll be going by. We talk about her incredible history working with Shakira, collaborating with Hugh Masekela, as well as a spiritual journey that has led her through multitudes of career exploration, from acting to singing to finding herself as a mother and a voice in the music industry. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to what we got up to because it was such a highly emotional episode. Enjoy. This is Quiet Conversations with Zethu Gqola. So you were born and bred in New Brighton in Port Elizabeth.
Correct.
Tell me about the journey from Port Elizabeth to this tiny glimpse of your appearance in Cha-Cha.
Yes.
And then going into music.
Yes.
How was that progression? How did that progression happen?
So it so happened that, yes, I was born and bred at Gqeberha. And I left there when I did go in 2000 to come and study in Cape Town at UCT at drama school. So in the course of my studies at drama school, in my, I want to say my second year, I did an audition. And it was my first audition. And I got the role of Boniswa in Cha-Cha. But Freshlyground had already started actually by the time that had happened. And we played like a couple of shows. And I left to go and do this thing. I left my studies for a little bit and I left the band for a little bit.
Did you move to...
I didn't. I left. I didn't leave.
Okay. You were just focusing on one thing at a time.
I just went to shoot it and then I came back to school.
Okay.
And it was like a few months.
Oh, right.
Then I came back to uni and I didn't quite complete my degree, but then carried on with Freshlyground. Yeah, so I came back to the band and luckily Cha-Cha was quite a big success and people really related to the characters and the story. It was beautiful.
I love that show.
It was really beautiful.
It was really cool.
It was like real and also like it was really gentle as well. Like in terms of looking at the characters, at their whole lives, and there was a sweetness that we didn't see necessarily that much in black characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because black characters always had to be fighting for something. Or funny, right?
Or velaphi.
Or velaphi. That was the era of high comedy in South African TV, where you were either making us laugh a lot or you were going through something terrible.
Or yes. Soul City, all that stuff.
It was all the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me, what inspired you to start your music career in a band versus by yourself?
And all of that happened by accident.
How did that happen?
Because I was just gonna be an actress. That was my thing. That's what I thought I would be doing with my whole life. The music came when I was in my first year at uni, and I just happened to be singing in one of the hallways in Res, and this girl said these guys have started a band and they're looking for a singer. I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. And I went to this guy's room in the guy's side of the Res, and he played a Skunk Anansi song, and I was deeply into Skunk Anansi, of course, Skin, and I got the gig, and that was my first band. That was a punk rock ska band. That was my first band, and then I got fired from that band for reasons I will not specify.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry about that.
I know, I was a stoner.
Getting fired from anything.
I was a stoner. I was a heavy stoner. I didn't come to a few rehearsals and maybe a gig or two. And so they were right to fire me. They were very right to fire me.
But also that's university days, It's how you learn responsibility.
Listen, I learned a lesson.
Yeah.
I did learn a lesson.
Crazy.
And then that next year was Freshlyground.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2002, Freshlyground appears. Next thing, you're sharing stages with the likes of Robbie Williams, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder. Like that was such a jump between 2002 and 2004 in like a very short space of time. Do you feel like you got to get into the swing of things before Nomvula came out in 2004 and things just blew up?
Yeah, I mean, all of those artists, even they were all post Nomvula, so they were after 2005. They weren't kind of in that early period. Like the Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin was 2009 at Radio City Music Hall in New
yes,
York.
You're right.
Yes, and
The
Robbie,
466 celebration.
Exactly, and that was epic. That day was amazing because, yes, as you said, it was the 46664, and Whoopi Goldberg was emceeing that. There were all these South African artists, Jesse Clegg, Utandiso was there as well, Soweto Gospel Choir, a host of other ones that I won't remember right now, but there was Cyndi Lauper as well on the gig, Aretha, as you say. It was just like looking at all these icons that had made us, and of course Stevie, and singing Happy Birthday on Stevie with him, like being at his piano and like all of us singing.
Yeah.
Woo. Then after that gig, it was like we were playing a gig in Century Park and Century. Oh wow!
Is Central
Park. Oh my God, Century City. Century City.
The Century City of America.
Central Park.
But you know what? Century City is giving the concrete aspects of New York, so it's okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's okay.
Thank you, my love. Age is showing up in this interview. So we went all the way to Central Park to play a gig with Hugh Masekela that same day. So it was an epic day, and we got this police escort that took us from Radio City Music Hall in Manhattan, that took us all the way to Central Park, and that was such a beautiful day.
That's
Amazing
so cool
day.
that you got to do that with Dadu Hugh
Dadu
Masekela.
Hugh.
Also
Listen.
because of like him living in New York. Have you ever read his autobiography?
I have.
That is the craziest book.
Wild.
Mad wild. It's the kind of book you read, you're like, how did this man make it to the age he made it to? He was a crazy
He was so
guy.
naughty, my God.
And so naughty.
So naughty.
I think I would have fallen in love with him and he would have broken my heart. And then he wouldn't look back.
Zethu, he wouldn't have looked back.
No, he would not have looked back.
He wouldn't, my love. He would have been really sweet and charming at the time.
Yeah.
But, he wouldn't have looked back.
Was he that sweet and charming in his later years? This is for research purposes.
For research. You're that man. He was kind of intimidating.
Yeah, he was intimidating.
Yeah. He was, but also like completely amazing.
Yeah.
I was very intimidated by him. So I would say really silly shit to him. Like, like there was, I don't know if I should say this, but there was this one, I don't know, I think we were in Den Haag. We were in the Netherlands, and we were playing a jazz show with him, and he had come to this. We had this big meeting thing with all sorts of stakeholders, like people associated with the festival, but so really swank. And he came in, and he'd obviously had some puffs, you know, and I was so, I don't know why I said this, but I was I sniffed it and I was like, ooh, what am I smelling? And the whole band of Freshlyground just looked at me what are you doing?
What are you doing to embarrass us?
Oh my God.
What are you questioning
so
an icon?
Really?
I would have asked the same, because what's more iconic than him saying, do you want some?
I know.
Right?
And he would have.
Yeah, he would have. He totally would have.
have.
That is so incredible.
Lame.
I remember meeting him in 2016.
Yes.
He played a set at Rocking the Daisies.
Yes.
And I was facilitating some interviews backstage. And I remember seeing him and I was just starstruck at first sight. But I had this confusion going on in my mind, because I was like, I don't know if I'm starstruck by Utata, the icon, or that badass man who could have wrecked my heart.
Yeah. All of it.
In the 70s and 80s.
All of it.
I don't know which guy I'm dealing with right now.
All of it.
He seems so cool. His aura is just it's next level.
Because he was also, by that stage, he was doing his Tai Chi, Qigong, all that stuff.
He was very in tune.
Yeah. But
smooth operator.
Witty, so witty though. I mean, a man could wreck you in a couple of words. So sharp.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna move on.
I know, because let's move on from Hugh.
Yeah, let us
move on.
So 2004, Nomvula comes out, and we spoke about this before we came on camera. That album was my coming of age album, from Ooh Doobie Doo, which was phenomenal as a track, but I'd changed my life. I was 13 turning 14.
Wow, Zethu.
I had my first crush on this mediocre boy.
Yes.
Wherever you are, I don't care.
Yes.
I had a crush on this mediocre
Zethu.
boy. No. Next thing, they'll be in my comments on social media. Like, you see this bitch. And I was in love with this boy.
Oh,
and you were just like this young, confident, such free-spirited woman. And you just put your heart out there. And you're just like, I'd like to call you sometime. How did you get there? Tell me about that song. I need to know everything.
I will tell
that
you.
song was such an integral part of my life.
Let me
And it was
tell
also
you.
surrounded by my first biggest heartbreak.
Yes. Yes. I will. Let me tell you the genesis of that song. So that was my very first day at uni. It was February, I think, 2000. And we were drama school and we had to make these presentations, or like a collage, it was so cute. We made the collage of like who we are and like the things that we were into. And there was this other kid there who also made like a really cool collage, like really smart as well. We both wore glasses at that stage. And after the day at varsity, we both almost missed the bus that would take us back to our res. And so we had this like moment of like, really like this like heart palpitations of like nearly missing the bus together. Then we sat at the back of the bus together and we spoke for a really long time and discovered both of our mothers had passed. And these other connections that we had. And we got to the res, whatever, and we were talking the whole way, and just when you have these connections with somebody,
and it happens so quickly in
and
a
it happens
space of
so
a day,
quickly and just feels so.
and then you miss the
beautiful.
bus. Oh, it's a sign.
And you know what I mean.
It was meant to be.
So that night, I couldn't stop thinking about him, and it was about midnight that these words came out and this melody came out. What would you do if I kissed you? What would you do if I held your hand and I laid you down?
Yes. It's all the things that you wonder.
Exactly.
Then it's also the whole idea that if you action those things too soon, it could also just like fall apart at the same time. Because what if this person's not feeling it like you are?
Yes. Yeah,
it's so intense.
Because you've just met this person.
Yeah, calm down. No,
so there's also 100%. Like the awareness, like for me, and like when I think about that song now, there's so much longing in that song. It can't be about that one person.
Yeah,
it can't. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's like the culmination of that lifetime preceding that of longing and heartbreak and heart verlangen. Like that's maybe to do with. That can be to do with romance, but it can also be to do with whatever, with hurts, with missing of mothers, with missing of whatever relatives.
It is because it was very applicable to any scenario in life, whether it's a romance, something platonic, a relative. It just summons something so deep of just like something that could have been, something that could be, something that you miss, something that you wish.
Zethu, you're going to make me cry.
Don't worry, I'd cry with you too. Okay. Before the Nomvula comes out of the eyes, I want to talk about the title track, Nomvula from Nomvula, because that is a very deep song. And I think it's one of the first times you ever spoke about your life without necessarily the listener catching on to it firsthand. Because when I was listening to the lyrics of that song, I was like, wait a minute, this is your family.
Yes.
How was it to bear your heart on an album like on a track like that? How did your family take it? What inspired that song? Because it's quite a descriptive song about where you are, who is there, what you're feeling.
Yes. It's so factual. Yeah.
And personal.
And personal and somehow the simplicity of the telling of the story, it is so evocative. It's so evocative that people who don't speak as Xhosa still relate to it. There's a gravitas to it that I think we have in response to something that is authentic and real and true. Like it comes across even if you don't understand what is being said.
Yeah.
So lovely. So that song was written on a rainy day in Cape Town.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Right? Right? It's just came so perfectly. Yeah. And of course, Nomvula meaning rain, being the female version of the name Rain and being my mother's name. It was so apt and perfect that it came through on a grey Cape Town rainy day. And Aaron was sitting at the piano. He started Freshlyground, and he was sitting on the piano and he started playing these iconic chords. And I sat there with my little piece of paper and pen or pencil, as I did in those days and still do. And the story started coming out, and it just wanted to come out.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments in one's career, in one's artistic life, that everyone has. Whether you identify as an artist or not, when you get those downloads, and
it feels like a vivid memory when you listen to that song. Not just your memory, but when I listen to that song and the way you describe everything, like the surroundings, takes me back to my grandmother's house.
Great.
Like an oven that is fired up with inkoni. I can see tapete on the floor in the kitchen. Like that is what the melody and the chords of that song invoke. And I think it's also having an understanding of what you're describing at the same time. That old school furniture that had the curls in the front.
You can see that even if I don't say that.
Even if you don't say that, that's everything by the way that you sing the song and how it sounds and what you describe. Oh, now I'm going to cry.
That is astonishing, Zethu. That's amazing.
It's really cool.
That's amazing.
It's really, really cool.
I really love that you've given me something with that description.
So the 2010, I'm nipping our emotions in the bud, by the way, by moving swiftly along.
Snip.
Because I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Good.
2010 comes along. You make the official song of the World Cup with Shakira.
Yes.
That was crazy.
Wild, yeah.
How was that process? Did like Shakira call you up? I don't know where that came from. But don't you ever think that every time you read her name and you're like, Shakira?
Of course. And you must do it also like with her voice as well.
Right? Yeah. I love her voice. What
I love
an
her
icon.
voice. I also love her voice. It is totally iconic. No, man, it's an interesting thing how that came about is that we just happened to be in New York that time. That was, whenever that was. Maybe it was around the same time, actually, as the Hugh.
Yes, because now we fast forwarded to
it might have been that
we
same
jump
trip.
to Robbie, we go to Hugh just to give the viewer a timeline of where we came from, and now we get to.
It must have been 2009. It must have been. So we had just recorded our 4th album, Radio Africa, and we were mixing it, and our producers Fabrice Dupont at his studio in Manhattan, and in the same apartment block where his studio was, there was a guy called John Hill who was mixing the track for Shakira. In fact, he wasn't mixing it yet, obviously. He was producing the track for Shakira, and he heard that there was a South African Fab spoke to him, and he said, "Listen, there's this really cool band. I want you to listen to this the stuff that we've been doing. I was in Cape Town. They're here. What." So he listens to the stuff, and he's like, "Wow, this is amazing. By the way, I'm producing this track, and it needs an African collaborator on the track. Can the band listen to it and see if they like it? And if they like it, can they write something?" And we listened to it. And at that stage, I think it was just the chorus, which was, of course, we didn't know at the time it wasn't Shakira's chorus.
Ooh, that lawsuit.
I know, wild. But it was an African chorus, Cameroonian chorus. We wrote then the bridge. Abuela Machoni, biggie mama want A to Z, and the music to that. And he seemed to like it, but we didn't hear anything.
How?
Then for months and months and months. So we just assumed, okay, well, that was whatever it was.
Yeah.
Until months and months later, we get we get contact from Shakira's people to say, listen, you're on the track. Come to LA and record and be part of the music video.
Oh,
and that's why for 2 seconds you can see us in the music video for Waka Waka.
So the song came before. Your 2 seconds of that
if
international
you blink,
pop
Zethu,
song.
you will miss me doing the Waka Waka. Do not blink.
About 10, 15 seconds.
Listen,
Nothing more, nothing less. That's hilarious. So the song came before the World Cup confirmation came.
Correct.
Okay.
Because everybody, of course, was pitching for that song. We also pitched for it. We submitted our song. What we didn't know then is that they would never have just chosen a South African or African act to be the primary.
That's diabolical.
It's so diabolical. And listen, it's heinous. It's hideous. It's
to be the country hosting the World Cup and you're not looking here.
They
Crazy
were not,
work.
They were not. So they let us do our pitches. They were like, yeah, submit. But they knew they wanted like a big international act, and then they would have a small African or South African feature.
Okay.
Which is what happened with Waka
Except
Waka.
you weren't that small.
What I mean is small in terms of the
Not overshadow.
I sent it by like we did the bridge.
Yeah,
warning,
we
you know
ticked
what
the
I mean?
box.
A little bit, not to throw shade.
Yeah.
I love that song. I still love that song. I don't want to sound like I don't. I love it. I really do.
I recently learned that Freshlyground made a comeback, but I was so surprised to see you not there.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that?
Of course.
Did you know that was going to happen?
I did, yes. We've spoken about it.
Beautiful.
We've spoken about it. So I had, I don't know, man. I guess I'm an artist. You know, I've got to just like do different things, you know. I mean, so we had 17 years together and
That is a long
It's a
time.
long time. We produced 7 albums and we went all over the world and did really amazing things. And I just had this feeling in my soul that I just needed to tend to my own inner artist, like outside of a band space.
Yes.
Just to really get in touch with my own artistic voice.
And artistic independence, you know.
Artistic
it's like a journey of
independence.
rediscovering who am I.
So it is the discovery. So that was hand in hand with the who am I? What is my voice? Who am I? And I couldn't do that while I was still in the band space because we were touring. We were we were playing all the time, which is success,
Yes.
right?
Oh no, I'm dying for my success. I get you though.
So it was very strange for the band for me to say about like, guys, I need a break. At that time I was seeing it as a break, like I wanted a sabbatical of like a year. And then at the end of that year I realized that I actually needed a much different change of pace. I needed to be
A slower
performing
pace
less, you know. I
as
needed
well.
to be choosing my gigs, and I needed to also be presenting the music in a very different way. The music that was coming out of me after that first year of exploration was very different from the body of work that we had created, which was really awesome and amazing and incredible. So getting back to now 4 years later, after the end of my road so far with Freshlyground, when we spoke about it, you know, there are 6 other musicians who created that legacy.
Yes.
You know, 6 to 7 other musicians.
Absolutely.
From all over this continent, from Zim, from Congo DRC, from Maputo, you know, from Mozambique, and from all over South Africa. I didn't do it alone. You know, there's all this other artistic input. There's all these other voices. There's all these other livelihoods as well that are attached to the name and the legacy. That just because I couldn't be part of it anymore, it felt like would feel really silly to stop them being able to play the music that they created. So that was our conversation, you know, and I'm happy that there's somebody that they've chosen to step in.
Because that must have not been an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I've heard her. She's incredible.
Yeah.
But I think it must also be a daunting thing because it's not just replacing the lead singer of a band. You have quite a distinct,
Very.
different voice.
Very.
You know.
Very. So it's a tall order. It's a tall order, but I think it's possible, and I think that
they're doing very well.
I think with the musicianship as well in the band, you know,
It's a very talented band.
It's a very
incredibly
I wish
talented
them
band.
well.
Amazing.
Yeah, I wish them well.
So now we're going to go into your solo career.
Yes.
2019 is when you embark on that journey.
Yes.
Was any part of it a little bit scary, or had you taken a break long enough that it felt like, you know, nervous but not terrifying?
It was terrifying.
Terrifying. I guess it's kind of like quitting your daytime job to start a small business.
Big time. It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. It was terrifying, and at the same time, it was absolutely 100% necessary.
Yeah.
You know, I was, that year, 2019, was my final year with Freshlyground. We had our last show on New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
Of 2019 at Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens, which is one of the
really
best
said New Year, New Me.
Yeah, listen, one of the best venues in the whole world, and also like it had been really one of our homes. You know, we played so much at that place. But that year leading up there was so much work that I was doing internally on my story, on my personal story. And that coming out,
yes,
as you say, it did happen in 2019. I put out a play at the end of that year.
Yes, at the Baxter Theatre. And then you won a Fleur de Cap. You reminded people, I'm a theatre girl.
Ay.
I was an actress.
Ay.
I am dabbling in these worlds.
Yes.
Which is so cool, by the way. That's the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's great.
It was also, you debuted your new singing name.
Yes, the one who sings. Exactly.
Versus going by Zolani Mahola.
Yes.
What took you there?
Yes.
What made you shift far from that identity?
I needed to. I needed it so much. And I'm so grateful to the one who sings. I've now gone back to Zolani Mahola, but what these last 4 years have given me as the one who sings has been a real big space to just breathe and to be something other than my identity for that past 17 years previous of being Zolani from Freshlyground.
Yes.
It gave me like a pass to just really do whatever the fuck I wanted to do, you know. And
it also felt like you became really spiritually connected with yourself, especially in your album Teta Mama, and including the visuals as well. It felt like there's a part of you that connected with another part of yourself that you found during that gap, because you were a different woman in that era, and you really were that energy. It could be felt.
I feel so seen by you, Zethu.
I see you. Oh my goodness, I'm one of your biggest fans.
I feel so seen by
I know
you.
everything about you, not in a creepy way. I'm joking.
I'm beaming here.
No, I've loved your journey in the music industry, and I've always understood the different phases that you have gone through. And I wouldn't say they're phases, because I don't like to look at life as phases, because we are different people. It's the different person you became. It's the same how you're a different person in your early 20s and your 30s. You become a completely different person when you become a mother. You become a completely different person when you rearrange the trajectory of your life exclusive of your children, and so on and so on. So yeah, I see you. I see you. Yeah. And tell me about Teta Mama.
Yes.
What brought about the title of that album, and why the era of the one who sings ended?
Great. So you're quite right, and I really had a big spiritual reconnection, and that spiritual reconnection was to my ancestry, and it was through the vehicle of nature. Because I started to dive in the ocean.
Yes.
Yes, I started
to walk in the forests.
And walk in the forest, but really the main reconnection was through the water.
Through the water.
I started in 2020. I started diving. Craig Foster took me for my first dive. He was the other character in my octopus teacher, the human character, and he really opened up a whole world.
That is the coolest thing that you got to.
It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
The coolest
living.
thing. I lived and I live.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Somehow, diving in the water really reconnected me to cultural practices that I had left behind in the Eastern Cape of connecting with my ancestors, the rituals, you know, that we would do on land. I started to do at sea. And it happened just very organically. And I don't know, it just, it's just a booyah, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I came back to myself as well.
That's incredible.
And then so the music became very informed by that. So as you say in the album, with the album Teta Mama, I really wanted nature to also have a voice within the soundscape of the album. And even the title name Teta Mama, Speak Mama, that mama is, yes, it is my mother. It is the spirit of motherhood, but it is also Mother Nature.
Yes.
You know, this idea that we are inextricably linked to nature. We are nature.
We come from nature. We go back to nature.
Hey, listen.
Do you know there's so many religions and cultures across the world that believe in the rebirth and cleansing process of going into the ocean? So much so some people do it once a week, where it's like a ritual end of week practice. And by that, I mean like it becomes a habit that someone does. It's just like, I'm letting go of the week that I had and I'm welcoming new perspective, new outlook, you know, fresher emotions. It's a real thing.
I love
It's a real thing. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think the ocean has a way of cleansing us. Nature has a way of calming us and connecting us like to something peaceful that is deep inside, and a way of slowing down time and life, you know, to make it introspective.
And for me, that is one of the biggest tragedies of our recent past with apartheid, is the divorcing of so many people from nature. You know, the move to township living. You know, this like dense, overcrowded urban, hardly much connection with greater nature.
Yes.
Also, of course, you know, I think what I love to invite to kids when I do a lot of public speaking, particularly in schools, is inviting that idea that even if you live in Delft, you know, and all the nature that is around you is the sand, you know, or the odd plant, that is also nature.
That is also nature.
That is also nature. You also have access to the sky, but still, you know, I mean, it's a massive tragedy. That divorce, that cutting people off, that sense of disconnection. Because as you say, there are so many benefits for your whole being.
Exactly.
You know, and
through being in the outside.
And for so many of our people, of our South African people, not having that access, particularly knowing just how traumatic life is on a daily basis in townships. It's staggering, the implications of people's nervous systems and how little we speak about it.
It is. No one's got time for that. You know, I watched an interesting video the other day. Someone was like, there are no trees in the townships. And then I was like, wait a minute. And it's, there are, but in some parts there are absolutely none. And when there are, they're so far and few between. And it's like there's a lack of green spaces. There's a lack of spaces
even
for people to
child's playing
outside.
Spaces. You know, the children play on the Nomvula on like this like hard
They're putting
surfaces.
that hard surface on the ground and just putting some metal things or like a jungle gym, and that's it. There's not a tree, there's not some grass, and it's like a societal failure to provide even the most fundamental elements of existence.
We need
us.
to see it as fundamental, you know.
And what's also crazy, like going back to what you're saying about moving to the city and being disconnected from that, colonization had a lot to do with making us so disconnected from nature, especially in the aspect of looking at Islalini as a sense of poverty rather than a place of being anchored and being in peace and being in the mountains and not having limits, of being grounded by people. I've always found that to be such an interesting way to look at going back home, because you go back home to go visit your family, you get it done and you go. It's only when you're at home for an extended period of time that you're like, wow, I haven't looked at these mountains in years.
Yeah.
You know, and then uzule into the distance.
Yes, and feel how you feel.
How
actually.
you feel, and a deep sense of being anchored to the earth, and not
absolutely.
just because you have memories of being there. It's like nature provides a sense of belonging. If your feet have been in the ground where you have been long enough, it's almost like your spirit is connected to that place. And I think that's what we lack so much.
Big time. I just wish in those space up. This is now also the problem with capitalism as well. You know, is that you go home and there is that abundance, but because we are relying on money, you know, to do, you know, X, Y, and Z, there's still that feeling of
on that abundance.
Exactly, there's still that feeling of scarcity, you know. But still, you know, I find people are so much more at peace and in themselves still, by and large.
Yeah,
you know, when we go back to the rural areas.
We did speak. Well, you spoke about public speaking with children. What people might not know, you've made children's music. You made a children's song. You actually performed at my daughter's school when she was 4 years old. Remember when you did the African lullabies?
Yes.
Why aren't you making more children's music? I'm pretty sure your babies get premium lullabies.
Yeah. Thank you, Zethu, for bringing that back onto my radar. It is definitely something that I'm going to do.
Actively.
I'm going to do it for sure.
I hope so.
I promise.
Have you ever made a lullaby since that one lullaby?
Absolutely, I have. I've made tons, except I haven't recorded them.
Okay.
I mean, I make them, but I don't record them.
I'm going to be outside your window.
Please.
With a microphone at
Please,
night.
there too.
Waiting for you to sing.
Please.
I think that would be incredible.
It would be amazing.
You've got the most peaceful voice.
Yeah.
My children love your lullaby. The one and only lullaby. Now we're going to... I've got a piano here and some microphones. It's never too late. I'm just saying. We can negotiate a deal. I've got paper. We can write it down. Anything's possible.
Okay, Zethu.
I'm now fast forwarding to the feminine force.
Yes.
Oh, the feminine force.
Yeah.
I think that this era was powerful for you. You know, you go from where you grew up sonically, you go into your solo career, and then you come out with a bang, and you come out with a group of women.
Yeah.
And it's one of those first times where, like, visually you're conveying a message of like this power, this freedom. You know, you've got the glitter, you've got the colors, you were so free. It felt like you are, I'm so sorry to say it this way, you're in your feminine energy. Like you're giving feminine force.
And so it is.
How did the feminine force come about?
I wanted to sing with women.
I feel that. I get that 100%.
I wanted to sing with women, you know, and it's such a wonderful thing. You know, and I haven't really gotten to do that outside of being at traditional ceremonies.
Yes.
You know, when the women are in the women's space and then the men are in the men's space outside, or at least that's how we do it.
Yeah.
In Gqola.
And it's like, what's stopping you from being creative with women?
Absolutely. And it's such a potent thing when we sing together. So that's what I wanted to do with the feminine force. I wanted to just have a space where we could sing together, cry together, laugh together, be together. And that's been the main project for the last couple of years, maybe 3 years, 4 years, who knows? Yeah, it's been great. What can I say?
Will you be doing more feminine force?
I will,
work?
Except now, I don't know, things are shifting again for me.
Well, it's beautiful.
I swear.
You're allowed to change. Prince. And I think the toxic thing, honestly, about the music industry is that people always expect you to stay the same. And I think it also branches out into the creative arts, because the moment you change an aspect of yourself, people are always suspicious. And there's no reason to be suspicious.
Yeah.
Because you change without being questioned.
Yes.
So the art that you consume from the artist that you love should also be able to change without question. Because we all evolve. We can't be the same person 100%. The whole time. We can't express ourselves.
That doesn't sound like our first work. No.
What do you want us to do? Do we do? All the time.
No, we can't hold we can't hold each other back. So right now, a whole nother thing is coming to me, you know. So I've come back to my name, Zolani Mahola, and that journey of moving now away from the safe container that has been the one who sings, has been about really feeling like, okay, there's been enough time and distance. I can own my legacy.
Yes.
I can stand in it without feeling like it defines me.
Yes.
Without feeling like it is all that is me, that is what I'm about.
And also feeling like it doesn't cast a shadow over
You said it perfectly.
your prospects.
You said it perfectly.
I completely understand the period that you went through. Now that like you've really explained it to me.
Yeah. It's I'm so grateful for it. And I'm also really grateful that I had the I felt that I could be safe to do that. You know, that whatever it was, I was guided by whatever my ancestors. Yes, probably. In fact, yes, definitely. To feel like it's okay. Just take the time that you need. And I took the time that I needed. And it's not that I was standing still in that time, because it's been a very fruitful time and a very creative time and a very connecting time. This year, 2025, I've been making some new music. Just been working with a really great producer, Hannah V.
Hannah V
She is just extraordinary.
Incredible.
Extraordinary.
She's so talented.
She's so wonderful.
She moves on the piano like water washing up on the shore. I have never in my life.
So the music is a lot more, because that is also her bent, is more commercial, more poppy, which has been a really exciting thing to kind of get back into as well.
That's so cool.
It's really cool. Now I'm very excited to further produce it and then to release some stuff.
That's amazing. How did you come about meeting Hannah V?
I met Hannah through Mwanga K.
Mwanga K is amazing.
Mwanga K is wonderful. Mwanga K invited me to do a writing session in December. And I thought it was just going to be me and him, but Hannah was there and she was producing the work. And I just fell in love with her in that same day.
I gate crash one
You
of
did
your
indeed.
I
did indeed see you. You indeed were in those
and you
sessions.
were in the zone.
I was totally in the zone. Oh, so I think maybe you heard one of the songs that it's called "You Picked a Good Time to Meet Me." Oh,
is it that sexy song?
So flippin' sexy.
I
oh my God!
was so shocked when you were singing that. I was just like, oh my God, dim the lights, bring my man. I am taking off my clothes.
It's fucking sexy.
Could not believe
so
that was
sexy.
you, because when I walked in there, I was just like, oh, she's so sorry, so sorry. And then I heard the way you were singing. I was like, I know that voice.
Yeah.
How was that?
So great. So great.
Did you feel like you liberated a piece of yourself?
Oh, big time.
Through all this
so I asked her
experimenting?
on that same day, I said, listen, Hannah, can you produce my next body of work?
Wow.
And we had such a good connection that she said, absolutely yes. So we just been in the studio now, and we had a week in the studio, and we created 7 tracks, which are really, really dope and amazing and beautiful. And just some further production, and we'll be releasing.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
You're incredible.
And
I'm so glad that you have come out better, stronger, more comfortable.
It must be, because what is the alternative, actually?
Yeah. You've got a point there.
What is the actual alternative?
Yeah.
And I would love to see this for us as a country. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm always looking at the micro and the macro. You know, I think we have gone through, and we are going through a depressed kind of feeling. I think we certainly have, and we have to remind ourselves constantly and make this the forefront of how much excellence we have, how much excellence is in us. And how much it's more than potential, it's just brilliance that we have in our young people, in our spirit as Africans and South Africans, that we just need to amplify. It's that thing of like, what are we listening for?
Yes.
You know, are we still listening for the negative and so much of the harm that is, yes, it's present, but how much more of the good can we turn it up on?
Right. How much more of the good can bring us together to bring about more good?
So let's do that. Let's do that deliberately.
Yeah.
Let's choose who we are.
Oh,
let's choose who we are as a country. Let's choose, and then let's go towards that.
That's brilliant.
And we can, and we are doing it. And there are many people who are doing it. So let's just all jump on board.
We have so many talented people in this country. It is unbelievable.
Big time.
And people who are hungry.
Yes.
who are hungry for the greater good, for the greater good of the collective.
Oh, big
is what I'm
time.
loving about the younger people these days. Everyone is more for the greater good of the collective than the greater good of the self, because they understand that people at the top aren't competing with each other. They're working together. So what's stopping us from doing it from over here?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
The answer is yes.
You have made the little girl in me across different stages in my life so happy.
Oh, Koshio.
By
Look at
being
you now.
here. Yeah, that's yes. Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. They were gonna come. But I'm so grateful for you and
I love
Diabulela for taking the time to sit with me,
Oh, man.
for opening your heart with me, for sharing your journey with me.
Of course.
And I cannot wait to watch the rest of your life unfold.
Aho. Ingos.
Oh, look at us.
Oh, man.
Thank you.